Welcome back on the C Morning Show. And now, since I'm putting on my apron right now, you are watching our cooking segment, You Masak. And for today's show, we'll be making Italian meatball with marinara and pesto sauce with Chef Bryan. And so, good morning, Chef Bryan.
Thank you for having me again.
Thank you for being here. So now we're making meatballs. If we look at the dish, once it has been cooked later on, if you see the pictures, it seems like this is a simple dish.
Really simple. Like as you can see, everything's already laid here.
Yes.
And we don't really need so much stuff in here. We're just gonna make it, squeeze it, and like you play along and make it balls and then done.
That means we trust Chef Bryan, we trust you, Chef. So let's get started. What can the viewers at home prepare if they want to make this during the weekend?
Sounds good. All right, so for the most important thing, obviously, the meat, the ground meat. And basically in Italian meatball, the difference between Italian meatball and as well as the regular Indonesian meatball is the ratio between the flour and also the meat itself. In Italian meatball, the Western style is more meaty and more, I would say kind of brittle. In Indonesian meatball, it's chewier because it has a lot more of flour.
Flour, yes.
Yeah, so this one, the binder is basically the, what is it? The bread flour, the breadcrumbs. And then we're gonna soak it first with a little bit of milk.
And this is just regular milk?
Yes, regular milk.
And for the ratio itself?
We got the recipes online. Probably around like 1:1, around like 2 tablespoons of breadcrumbs and as well as 2 tablespoons of milk itself. And then over here I got some Parmesan cheese. So we're gonna rehydrate the flour first.
Wow.
So that one is gonna give a little bit more moisture as well. Then later we're gonna mix the egg as well. There you go.
And for the cheese itself, can you choose other types of cheese?
Sure, of course. So the reason I use Parmesan because it's easier to find.
Okay.
Everywhere you go in supermarket, you probably gonna find it like the first thing in the cheese section, you know. But if you want to go fancy, gorgonzola, blue cheese, anything you want, right?
You want to impress someone over the weekend?
Indeed, right.
There you go.
So over here, while we're soaking the breadcrumb, I got some grated onion. So I freshly grated before, around probably like 1 tablespoon. Or around like half onion, probably like the small onion like this size. There we go.
I mean, the viewers at home cannot, you know, smell the onions, but wow.
Right.
Very appetizing.
It gives a little bit of the aroma, the umami, the sweetness. Garlic. We love garlic in Indonesia, right? We put all the garlic. Some spices. I got some paprika powder, chili powder, a little bit herbs. I got oregano and as well as the thyme.
Oh, and you can you add more spices to it if you like a spicier food?
Yeah, if you like, for example, like cumin or maybe other pungent spices, more than welcome. But it's probably not Italian meatballs anymore because if you put cumin or sumac, something like that, it's probably gonna be like more like Mediterranean, something like that.
All right.
All right. So the next one.
Here, I'm gonna...
So if you grab some that, and then I got some mustard, just to give a little bit kick and also a little bit binder.
Okay, and I'll prepare myself because...
Yes, ma'am. You got it right.
Yes, because I want to help out, so I can...
The job is calling you.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to be a good teammate right here, although...
A little bit salt. Don't forget to season. There we go. Some black pepper to give a little bit kick. There we go. And don't forget the egg.
Just 1 egg is enough.
Just 1 egg is enough. Voila. Then we're gonna mix in the cheesy breadcrumb. See, everything is soaked.
Yes.
Now all the moisture is gonna be here. Later, the meatball is gonna be juicy, delicious, and tender at the same time. All right, now let's dig in. Do you want to do it, or
you show me first?
All right.
Let's leave it to the pro first, and then I'll help afterwards.
So, like I said, the recipe is super easy to make, and it's really fun to make with your kids during like this weekend. You know.
Yes.
Like you can just do it together. Basically, make it having fun, and then we're gonna make a bowl later.
Here, so
everything's mixed nicely.
Oh, the kids would love doing this.
I know, right? It's like
mushing everything up. Yes. You see, and you know, look how I messed things up.
It's all right.
Okay. So we just.
Yeah, the glove is a little.
You can't. You don't have to use the gloves at home, which is more.
Yep. Actually, fun fact, I read about it, or I watched about it, some chef. There's a debatable thing, right? Like in restaurants,
Yes.
should you use glove or not? I'm a believer of not using gloves.
Okay.
Because actually, but the most important thing, you just need to keep washing your hands.
Yes.
The bad thing about using glove is like sometimes you already think it's always clean. That's why you always you keep touching around
Yeah, okay.
without realizing you cross-contaminating
The germs
because
as well,
you're
yes.
using gloves. And then at the end of the day, it's actually spreading more germs around because of the gloves.
Yes.
Without gloves, you just need to keep washing your hand around like 20 minutes after that, and then you just wash it.
And probably you can actually feel the texture
Indeed.
much better with your
Totally,
fingers as well.
totally.
I hope I'm doing a good job right here, Chef.
You are.
Can
It's more homogenized. It looks good.
And it smells good, really. I mean,
Yes.
it's not even cooked yet. It smells good. And I love the colors as well. You have
Right?
Your red, your
It's
greens, your yellow.
Yes, there you go. Like it's more become a homogenized. Everything's textures nicely. Like it's tender, but it's also meaty at the same time. All right, now it's time to make a ball. There we go. So I'm probably gonna take the size. It's up to you. You want to make so big. To make it more delicious as one portion, you can. But I probably aim around like 50, 60 grams each,
Okay.
more or less around yay size.
Okay.
And we're just gonna ball it.
Like right here?
Yes.
Okay.
And if the shape is not uniform, it's totally fine. It's called homemade, right?
Right.
The artistic of it.
Thank you, Chef, for...
I'm saving you, right?
Thank you. I was about to say, I don't think I make any perfect size balls or
Hey,
meatballs
that
right
one
now.
is good.
Really?
You did it great. There you go.
I'm a natural
Nice. There you go. You got a talent over there.
for playing dough, probably.
All
There you
right,
go.
so that one's here. So, and another important thing as well, making this kind of meatball, I don't want to handle it too much or squeeze it too much because I don't want to develop any gluten from like the breadcrumb and everything. I want to be like more meaty instead of like the chewy, like Indonesian chewy. You know? There you go.
And once we make this over the weekend, let's say we make quite a lot of portions.
Yes.
Can we put it in the fridge if we want to eat it during the weekdays after work?
Of course. So when I used to work in Langham Hotel in Chicago, we have this kind of dish, right? A meatballs with marinara and some bread. And the way we made it, we made like a bunch.
Okay.
So we already prepare it and then we already deep fry it. So it's already half cooked. Then we put it in the chiller or in the freezer.
Oh.
So later when we need it, we just defrost it. Then for the service, we just take whatever it is that is needed.
How many days can it last in the freezer or
in the
chiller?
freezer it can be long. In the chiller, probably like 3 days, I would say. But in the freezer, it can hold like for quite a while.
Okay. So there you go. You can make this over the weekend and then you can have meatballs throughout all the week.
Until you're sick of it.
Yes. Or probably you can go to the office, bring yourself some homemade meatballs and look fancy in front of all your friends at work. There you go.
All right. Well, you can help me with that. I'm going to start searing some of the meatballs.
Okay.
There we
I'll make
go.
the balls right here.
So right here, it's just basically you want to have a high heat. Over here, right now, what we're doing is basically to get the color. Basically in meat, that we call it Maillard reaction. Sugar, we call it caramelization, right? When it's turning to brown. In protein, when it's browning, it's called Maillard reaction.
Okay.
So it's basically the one that gives the flavor. Steak, if you properly sear it, it's different than the one that not properly, right? Because like you get that reaction, the umami, the flavors that really strong over there. So you just want to have a really, really high heat.
And the key is in the heat.
Yes. Because the theory behind it is basically what you want is to evaporate all the moisture.
Okay.
So the protein can be cooked and get that reaction. So if you only have like a low heat, sometimes mom at home, they're scared of the high heat.
Yes,
They're scared it's gonna get burned.
Overcooked.
Yes. Usually they turn it really low. And if you ever see like the meat that kind of grayish instead of brown, that's because like not enough high heat.
Oh.
So like the one that instead of getting the caramelized or Maillard reaction, you're gonna get the steaming.
Oh. So
That's why it's like it's gonna be like grayish and it's not nice.
Not nicely colored.
Yes,
like the one that we see in the pictures or in the magazines of chefs. So there you go. There's another thing for you to look at when you're cooking protein.
All right. So this pan is pretty much hot. We can start put it in. There we go. That's what you want to hear.
Right, the sizzling sound.
Yes, that's what you want. If you don't hear that sound, then you gotta crank it up again.
Okay. And for the oil itself, you just drizzle the oil like you did earlier?
Yep.
Or and any kind of oil? Olive oil or vegetable oil?
I would prefer vegetable oil because it has higher temperature smoking point. If you use olive oil, probably use regular olive oil instead of extra virgin. There's a lot of misconception about extra virgin. Oh, when you cook with extra virgin, it's gonna be like better. But it's actually
The truth is?
The truth is extra virgin is better in terms of flavor. But once you cook it in a high heat, all the flavor is gone.
Okay.
So it's useless because you already pay high so
Yes.
much for it because it's more expensive. But you got no any result out of it because it's basically just, you know, you basically cook so much of the flavor. That one is better for salad if the one that's not
Dressing
cooked.
as
So
well.
yeah,
So
the
you
one
can
that
get the
just
flavor
indeed.
that you pay for with the higher
There
amount of
you
money.
go.
What about coconut oil, chef?
Coconut oil is pretty good, but the flavor is pretty strong.
Okay.
So it depends on what do you want to cook. Sometimes you want to check, for example, like Italian, there's not much of the coconut flavor. So if you put coconut oil in it, that's gonna be affecting the flavor. So there you go, a little bit of the browning effect
Wow.
that you want.
And once again, you can you see the smoke from the cameras or from your screen? Right here, I can see the smoke perfectly. There you go.
Nice.
And the smell, the aroma of the meatballs.
There you go.
From Yuk Masak, I think it's now that I'm already transitioning to Yuk Makan. I cannot wait. All right, let's eat.
All right. So later, once it's all brown and nice and crusty, what we're gonna do next is just gonna put it in the sauce.
Yes.
And then we're gonna simmer it again so all the sauce flavor can go in and develop and everything. So I already prepared the finished product actually over here.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh.
Voila! It's like
Voila,
magic.
magic. You should have,
So right
Give a
here,
countdown right there.
I've got some marinara sauce, homemade. And what you want to do after, for example, you already make a lot of batches. You're just gonna cook it in the marinara sauce to thaw it and as well as incorporate all the flavor. And just basically ready to serve it.
Okay. And for the marinara sauce itself, of course, you can buy off the rack, but
Yes.
off the shelf. I'm sorry, but this is homemade.
Yes.
What can we prepare? How can we make a homemade marinara? Is it
It's really simple.
difficult? Oh, sorry, is it
Really
difficult?
simple. So basically, what I did before is just basically onion,
Yes.
some fresh tomato, and I also bought canned tomato to develop the acid because usually the canned tomato has more acidic of it. That's what I'm looking for. And then I put some different kind of herbs, spices, anything you want in it. And then basically just simmer it to develop the flavor around 45 minutes. Then blend it.
Oh, okay.
As
And-
simple as that.
And you can keep this as well inside the fridge?
Yes, of course.
For how many
For
days?
probably like a week.
A week.
Yes, but if you do it like the pasteurization, like the one in the jar, if you homemade and you put it in the jar and then you boil it and everything like that, that's can last for forever. For
Yes.
doomsday.
Right. And it sounds a bit more work to do.
Right.
And well, anyways, for you viewers at home, as we prepare the final details right here on our dish, we'll give you the list of the ingredients and also the recipe on your screen.
Hot. Meatball is hot.
And there you go. The recipe is up on your screen. Take a picture, screenshot the ingredients, and also on how to make the meatballs, marinara, and also pesto sauce.
Yes.
So you can cook something with your families and probably impress your friends or probably your coworkers during the week.
Or maybe your date.
Or your date, since it's a Saturday night today,
I know,
whatever
right?
you need the dish for. Here you go. Thank you, Chef Bryan.
You're welcome. All right, now
And
we're gonna
next?
plate.
Okay, the best part, plating part.
So I'm gonna put some of the sauce on the bottom first.
Okay.
Make it nice. Make it.
And for this dish, Italian meatball with marinara and pesto sauce.
Yes.
When we think of meatballs, we synonymously think of pasta. But
yes.
other than pasta, what can we actually eat this dish with?
Sourdough.
Okay.
You just grill the bread as an appetizer. When we had it in a Langham Hotel when I used to work there, that's the only dish. So we put it in a cast iron pan, and meatballs and the marinara sauce, and then sourdough bread. Grilled nicely with a little bit of garlic flavor.
I like that.
Simple, but it's delicious.
Yes, and something you can actually give your kids for their school as well. No additional cooking involved in the mornings.
There we go. Maybe a little bit one more on top. Voila. Then now we got some pesto.
Homemade pesto sauce.
Yes, ma'am. Like if you want to smell the basil, all the fresh basil, a little bit parmesan. There we go. A little bit of oil, olive oil.
Oh, I love this. And of course, coming from you, it must be homemade, right, Chef?
Yes, ma'am.
Any other tips or tricks for those who try to attempt making
Just
another?
make it simple. Put it in a blender, turn it on.
That's it.
Yes, ma'am. So basically what I have over here is just a regular pesto. I got some fresh basil, garlic, olive oil, and then maybe a little bit chili powder to give a little bit kick. And then, yeah, that's all.
Wow.
And then some nuts. You can use, yes, the traditional one you use pine nuts, but in Indonesia it's pretty hard to find pine nuts. So I use walnut instead.
Okay.
Or maybe almond. That's more than welcome to use. And you're just gonna drizzle it on top.
Wow. And smell the aroma. I love the color as well.
There you go.
And now I will prepare for us to taste the dish. All right.
A little bit garnish on top.
Make it all pretty.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is the part where you can just get all creative.
Yes. You can, if you want to put more cheese on top, some sprinkle of Parmesan cheese, you're more than welcome. There you go. Or maybe some toasted breadcrumb. It's more than welcome as well. All right. That's it.
Okay, and there we go.
All right. Ooh.
And now, coming up is my favorite part, which is we can taste the dish. So let's get our spoons ready.
I got you.
There
Some
you
here.
go.
Probably, yeah, unfortunately we got no plates over here.
Here, we'll just use another spoon. We'll just use this spoon.
Yep, I can cut it for you over here. Some here.
Just
I got
use-
one spoon
you got
over
one
here.
spoon? Okay, thank
There
you.
go, ma'am.
Well, I love how
Cut it for you.
how you're like a magician.
It's like,
Coming up from, the cooked meatballs, the spoon.
the Doraemon like
Yes.
pouch, right? There you go, please.
Okay, thank you.
It's like meaty, chewy, but you can taste a little bit of the herb.
And it's very soft,
Yes.
right? Noting on how you mentioned the differences between the meatballs in Indonesia and the Italian meatballs.
Yes.
And then the burst of flavors once you bite into the meat itself, right? The
Yes.
crumbs and then all the herbs,
Yes.
like you mentioned before.
Like, and also
Amazing.
with the sauce, like a little bit acidic.
Yes.
And also the freshness of the herb. It's kind of balanced the fattiness of the meat.
Agree.
Because if you eat too much, it's gonna be like, how do you say it? Knak in English.
Or mata, right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's kind of like that sensation is too rich of too
Yes.
full. That's why like the sauce itself, I make it more on the acidic side, just to give it a little bit balance.
Right, and there's, try the sauce.
Yes.
And especially how it also blends with the pesto. Oh,
There you go. Super simple.
super simple.
What, 15 minutes, I would say? 15, 20 minutes? It's
And
really
of course,
easy.
really easy, and of course, very impressive, especially if you want to impress that special someone during the weekend.
Yes.
Once again, thank you.
Thank you.
Chef
Thank
Bryan.
you for having me.
Like, always a pleasure, always a pleasure.
All right.
And so I hope you guys can also try that out at home for your own little moment of yuk masak and also yuk makan during the weekend. Thank you, Chef Bryan.
Thank you.
And don't go anywhere because we will be taking another short break. But in the meantime, don't forget to follow our social media accounts if you haven't already. We are on Instagram, X, and YouTube at See Today News. So don't go anywhere and stay with us only on See Today.